I want to make sure that people recognize we are not even through phase one of this pandemic. And the reality is, when we come in to the next flu season, potentially the next COVID-19 season, it's around election time. And the last thing we want to do is deny you your fundamental right, hard-fought right. Just had Memorial Day weekend. People literally living and dying to protect your freedom to vote.
Well, that was California Governor Gavin Newsom explaining why he issued an executive order to have the state vote by mail this November. That order prompted Judicial Watch to sue California in hopes to stop Governor Newsom's vote by mail mandate. We are now joined by the president of Judicial Watch, Tom Fitton, and constitutional law attorney Jenna Ellis, who is also a member of the Trump 2020 Advisory Board. Thank you both for being here to talk with us about this very important and relative topic.
Tom,
thank you.
Thank you very much.
Tom, I'm actually disgusted that Governor Newsom is invoking Memorial Day and the idea that people died to secure our freedoms by saying that somehow their rights are being denied. Every single person in California, and pretty much I can say this with certainty, everyone in America who wants to vote can still vote. They can apply for an absentee ballot if they don't want to go into a polling place. And so why are you suing California? What is your concern? Because I have a list.
Well, specifically, the governor on his own, Sean, can't break the law. Those who died for our freedom died for the rule of law, and that it protects everyone. And the governor is on his own, in violation of the Constitution, going to send 20 million ballots to people who haven't asked for them in counties that aren't set up to manage or take them in. So if you want chaos on Election Day, if you want opportunities for massive fraud, and if you want your votes maybe not to even be counted ultimately, you'll buy into what the governor proposes. Our clients who are voters don't want their votes to be knocked out. Our client, Darrell Issa, who's running for Congress again, wants to run within a lawful system, not a system that's arbitrary and capricious and unlawful as set up by Governor Newsom. So we're suing. And look, separately, we had a lawsuit in California and Los Angeles County that was settled. Los Angeles County is removing up to 1.6 million names from the rolls because they were inactive and really shouldn't be on the rolls. Now, under Newsom's order, when you read the text of the order, those people would get ballots.
Yeah.
People who haven't voted as long as 20 years.
Well, Tom,
moved away.
There's actually a story that came out of the California Globe, I guess it's an independent news site, that talks about 458,000 dead people could be mailed ballots. I mean, this is exactly what you're talking about. There is concern that almost 500,000 people in California would get ballots. Jenna, the point that Tom's making is important, and I don't think it should get lost. The governor didn't do this with the consent and advice or through a bill that the legislature passed. He did it on his own.
This is a violation of separation of powers. And so it's a fundamental part of our Constitution that the executive branch does not make law. And so what Gavin Newsom is doing is harnessing the crisis of the coronavirus to put through his own legislative agenda. And if he wants to go and join the California General Assembly, he can then run for office there. But as the governor, he cannot violate the separation of powers by unilaterally trying to change California election law. And so the RNC and the California GOP has also filed a lawsuit in this instance, pointing that out and saying that he can't just unilaterally change election law. It should not be hard for people to understand that requesting an absentee ballot from a registered, eligible, alive voter is drastically different than the state just simply sending millions of ballots into the ether where the chain of custody is broken down. There are so many other opportunities for fraud. These types of policy changes need to be debated openly in a General Assembly legislative context, not just unilaterally imposed by a governor who is using that type of rhetoric and that type of misinformation to just push through because he's a Democrat who wants to undermine the elections.
Yeah. And you make a good point, Jenna, and I want to ask you this, Tom. A lot of the left is saying that you choose between your health or voting, and that's not fair. But Jenna's point, why can't people just request an absentee ballot? How difficult is that?
It's very easy in California. There's no voter ID in California. I don't think California even has an excuse. Some states you need a valid excuse, meaning I can't be there. There's a real issue. California, I think, is one of those states that has no excuse absentee balloting. So this is setting up the steel, in my view, for 2020 and beyond, running this crazed process. 20 million ballots to people who probably moved away. Now the Secretary of State is saying, "Oh no, those people won't get ballots." Well, which is it? It shows you they're just throwing laterals down the field to election day, and there's no way to run an election. And the Constitution is explicit. Only legislatures can change the law on elections. The legislature has not changed the law. If the California legislature wants to blow up its election process, they got to do it under the Constitution directly. The governor can't do it under the guise of tyrannical emergency powers.
Yeah, I mean, I cannot emphasize how important what you guys are talking about concerns me about November. These guys on the left are making a play to undermine the election system and claiming it's all about protecting your rights. Every single citizen out there still has the right to vote. They have a right to request an absentee ballot, and this is a solution in search of a problem. So I appreciate what you guys are doing to keep these states honest, and I look forward to checking back with you as we get closer to the election. It is so important. Thanks again for being with us.
Hey, you're welcome.
Thank you.
All right, guys, please stay with us. There's so much more to discuss about this voter fraud and mail-in ballots. We're going to be joined by our company when we return.